hoping if you play this back, it's in celebration. I hope families are reunited. I hope we get it back and something like a normal version of the planet has been restored. If there ever was such a thing. God, what a world. Universe now. If you told me 10 years ago that we weren't alone, let alone, to this extent, I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised, but come on, who knew? The epic forces of darkness and light that have come into play. And for better or worse, that's the reality Morgan's gonna have to find a way to grow up in. So I thought I'd probably better record a little greeting in the case of an untimely death on my part. I mean, not that death at any time isn't untimely. This time travel thing that we're gonna try and pull off tomorrow, it's got me scratching my head about the survivability of it all. That's the thing. Then again, that's the hero gig. Right? Part of the journey is the end. What am I even tripping for? Everything's gonna work out exactly the way it's supposed to. I love you 3000.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. I got a lot of requests to do a video for the Gwen Stacy scene at the end of Avengers Endgame, so I'll explain what that means for her future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's a very big Easter egg. There's also another big Easter egg for Gwen Stacy during Spider-Man Far From Home. So we'll break it down. We're doing a giveaway for the Spider-Man Far From Home Blu-ray. All you have to do to enter that is be a subscriber and leave your best Spider-Man 3 theory on the video. I'll name a new winner at the end of this. So there hasn't been a new version of Gwen Stacy in the live-action movies since Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man movies when Emma Stone played the character.
Welcome to Oscorp. My name's Gwen Stacy. I'm a senior at Midtown Science, and I'm also head intern to Dr. Connors, so I'll be with you for the duration of your visit.
We do have animated Spider-Gwen in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movies, but that's sort of a different universe for now, even though they did joke about including live-action elements in those movies. They had a brief live-action element during the opening montage with the popsicle, but they haven't quite got that meta yet. They said that they thought about including Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield in those movies, so if they ever do something like that, it would be the mother of all Easter egg videos. There was a big Gwen Stacy Easter egg during Spider-Man Far From Home that you guys all probably spotted in the theater, but it was basically them giving a seminal Gwen Stacy comic book moment to another character. When Spider-Man's fighting Mysterio's illusions midway through the movie in that warehouse, one of the illusions Mysterio creates is of him holding MJ over the edge of the Eiffel Tower. Peter had told Mysterio about his plan to tell MJ about his feelings after they climbed to the top of the Eiffel Tower in Paris during their class trip, so that's why Mysterio creates that illusion. But he throws Illusion MJ off of the Eiffel Tower and Spider-Man isn't fast enough to catch her, making it seem like she falls to her death. Very big Easter egg for the death of Gwen Stacy in the comics after Green Goblin throws her off the George Washington Bridge in New York City. Also, side tangent, fun Easter egg for that. It's meant to be the George Washington Bridge, but in the actual comic book, it's drawn to look like the Brooklyn Bridge because that looks more iconic. Then once they got to the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, they actually did that same moment, but with MJ and Green Goblin throwing her off the Brooklyn Bridge.
This is why only fools are heroes. Because you never know when some lunatic will come along with the sadistic choice. Let die the woman you love, or suffer the little children.
So it's a bit of an Easter egg for an Easter egg in that moment, but in the Tobey Maguire version, he's able to save her. Whereas in the comic book version, his webbing, when he tries to save her, accidentally gives her whiplash, snapping her neck, and that's what the cause of death is. Roy Thomas, the editor at the time, explained that the reason why Marvel made it be that way is because they wanted a no-win situation for Spider-Man. If he didn't save Gwen Stacy, then she would have fallen to her death, but because he did try to save her, he accidentally snapped her neck. So Marvel Comics was like, we're killing Gwen Stacy off no matter what happens. But they did do the actual comic book version of that during Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man movies because those were meant to be a bit darker, so she actually does die during that fall. The Gwen Stacy scene that everyone's talking about at the end of Avengers Endgame is during that montage when they're playing back the message that Iron Man recorded before the big time heist about his sort of last will and testament, his thoughts about the future, wanting to be really hopeful. You get all those reunion scenes with the different Avengers going back to their families or going back to their homes. The first scene is Hawkeye going back to be with his family. The second scene when Spider-Man goes back to Midtown High is when this Gwen Stacy moment happens. Some of you may have spotted this in the theater or may have just seen people talking about it recently, but when Peter walks back into Midtown High looking like he can barely believe what just happened, like what a crazy field trip I just went on with the Avengers, all the other students are rushing around him as if nothing has changed. They did finally address it during that funny Betty Brant scene at the beginning of Spider-Man Far From Home during her news broadcast when she talks about the snap and the blip, and they have that funny scene in the gym with all the band members getting blipped back in the middle of the basketball game. But there's this girl that grabs your eye here that's walking through the crowd as Spider-Man and Ned Leeds are having their reunion, made to look like a giant walking Gwen Stacy Easter egg, clearly referencing the character with her heavy pink backpack, which stands out in the crowd, in the spiderweb print skirt, in platinum blonde Gwen Stacy hairdo. As Peter and Ned Leeds are going to hug each other, she just walks right by him, like the camera even lingers a little bit on it. When they get to Spider-Man Far From Home, though, there's no subsequent mention of this pink backpack Gwen Stacy character, just the MJ Mysterio Gwen Stacy Easter egg during the Illusions fight. So what is the future of Gwen Stacy in the movies? Right now we have animated Spider-Gwen in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. She'll come back during the sequel to that movie that they're making right now, but they're also developing a spin-off solo movie for her, but that's going to be animated. It won't be live-action Gwen Stacy. That's the only Gwen Stacy movie of any kind that I've heard Sony is developing. Here's the thing though, the MCU Spider-Man films that we've been seeing aren't really doing any kind of love triangle business. They're just focusing on the MJ character, so there doesn't seem to be much of a rush to make Gwen Stacy a big MCU character right now. You could speculate though, because Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal have said their primary goal in coming up with new Spider-Man stories is to do things that have never been done before with the characters. That instead of doing Gwen Stacy as, say, like the first love interest that Peter Parker had in the comics, they wait till Peter's in college at Empire State University to introduce the character, which might be where they take Tom Holland's Spider-Man if he comes back for another trilogy after Spider-Man 3, unless they do some crazy time jump between Spider-Man Far From Home and the beginning of Spider-Man 3, which I don't expect them to do. I think it's more likely that Sony's going to make a beeline for live-action Spider-Gwen inside the Sony Venomverse. So we're not talking about the MCU here. They've already supposedly started developing the live-action Spider-Verse TV shows. Spider-Gwen would be perfect for something like that. I did a video this past weekend about the crossover TV shows that Sony is developing with Lord and Miller from the animated Spider-Verse movies. They're using Sony's Marvel characters to create a couple TV shows, and the only Marvel characters that Sony has are the Spider-Man comic book characters. So that's why I say live-action Spider-Verse TV shows, because all the shows are eventually supposed to cross over like the Netflix Marvel characters in the Arrowverse DC TV shows, but they haven't said which characters are gonna get those TV shows yet. So I'm not going to hold my breath for any big Gwen Stacy character during Spider-Man 3 or anything, but let me know in the comments, what do you want them to do with live-action Gwen Stacy in the movies? Do you want to see regular Gwen Stacy pop up, or do you want them to skip that and just go straight to alternate universe Spider-Gwen? Even though the Marvel movies in the MCU are going heavy multiverse during Marvel Phase 4, I'm not expecting Spider-Man 3 to be a full-blown multiverse story. They kind of already used that as a joke during Mysterio's backstory for Spider-Man Far From Home. And yes, even though Mysterio was lying about being from Spider UK's Earth in the multiverse, as Kevin Feige said it himself at the Marvel Comic-Con panel, Mysterio was not lying about the existence of the multiverse.
Just because Quentin Beck makes up lies about the multiverse doesn't mean it isn't real.
We'll talk more about that when we get into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Cannot wait to see them do a legit Marvel horror film and see Scarlet Witch completely off the chain. Leave all your video requests in the comments below. I'm working on a new Eternals video. There's a Marvel Phase 4 D23 panel where they're going to show off some footage from the upcoming movies, so of course I'll do videos for that. Twitter also finally fixed my Twitter account. There's a link for that in the description and on the homepage of my channel, so if you don't follow me on Twitter, that's where you can find the link to that account. But congratulations to the giveaway winner from my last big video, Chris Haith. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your details. Everybody click here to learn about Dark Avengers and the other secret Marvel movies that we just found out about, and click here for my Spider-Man Far From Home deleted scenes video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.